Hey, Tim Burns here. So I wanted to go over just what I think is a really fantastic feature in Snowflake. I first started using Snowflake back in 2018. It was the first data warehouse that really was column oriented, that really got it right. There was a couple others that I'd used. Vertica was terrible, and Redshift was workable but extremely expensive and pain. Snowflake separated out the data and the compute, did a great job building a data warehouse. They got known as a data warehouse, but it's actually really unfortunate, sort of, because there's so much more now. They've got a cloud-based data platform, and the data is everything. I mean, if you think about like what's really going to be the next revolution with LLM models, with large models, it's going to be all this internal data, data that's not on the internet, that data that gets learned from business processes behind firewalls will never be public. And that's really where Snowflake shines. And so what I really want to do is I want to go through and show how Snowflake will bring together all of these features, the data warehouse feature, the machine learning feature, and finally Cortex and LLM into a single platform. Nothing's on the internet. It's all local, protected by network mass. I mean, it's a very, very HIPAA, any kind of like compliant you can imagine machine learning environment. It's really easy. Let me share my screen here, and I'll take you through a notebook. Um, so this notebook that I'm going to show is from the PricewaterhouseCoopers set of consulting trainings that they do on forecasting inventory. What we're going to do is we're going to look at a liquor store distributor that is highly seasonal. Great test data set for doing different kinds of forecasting models with seasonality. And we're going to treat our databases as 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 a data warehouse. So here I'm just gonna be in the notebooks. I'm running under a Get Hub repository called Azure Snowflake, and I am going to be creating a Snowpark session here so I can go back and forth between my data warehouse and my Jupyter Notebooks environment. So I'm going to load in the data warehouse into the analytical environment so I can just manipulate these tables through Python, and we can visualize the data with Streamlit, which is Snowflake's Plotly equivalent. So you can see that we just have some tables here, some data. We're going to look really at the sales data. We're going to aggregate the data up. So there's a lot of sales every day. We really want to know by day what are the sales. We'll aggregate the data up into the sales. And once we've done that, we're going to do some machine learning forecasting. So we're going to forecast the data um, out for 30 days. And we're going to use this snowflake.ml.forecast model. Now, there's several kinds of models. It supports ARIMA, Profit, a couple others, and uh, uh, Boost, I think. Um, we're just going to take the default when we build this um, to build this uh, data model. Then we're going to forecast it out for 30 days. So within that 30 days, we should have some idea based on previous sales, what kind of sales we're going to get. And obviously, if I was really doing this, I would be digging a lot deeper, paying really close attention to which models I'm using, to how much data I'm getting. I'd be doing a lot more analysis, but I'm really wanting to show just the table data warehouse loading into machine learning environment, and then actually then using an LLM to interpret the results. So we've done the forecast. We can now see what we forecasted. Um, SQL data frame, and we are going to we're going to put together both. So we're just really now here just looking at the data that's there in the system, and now we're going to load both historical data and the forecasted tables into pandas and try and visualize that so we can see what we're doing with the forecasting. We can see here that we have, this is in the red on the left, this is the actual data that we have for sales. We've got lots of great sales, and it looks like it drops off, but we're picking up the drop off. Here we have error bars on the side, obviously fairly high. We would probably want to get more data or figure out ways to get that data, those forecasting bars down with some more analysis. But really, this is a machine learning model, so easy to implement and begin exploring the data. And obviously, you're right there. So it really kind of takes a lot of the overhead of just back and forth programming away, and you can really just focus on getting insights. Now I wanted to show how we can just say use Cortex. So Cortex is Snowflake's LLM manager. We have a lot of different models here. You can have DeepSeek, Gemma. I used Llama 3 8B because it's the same one I have on my Mac. It's a fairly small model, but it's a decent enough model. I'm familiar with it, so I'm going to use that one. And I'll just export the data frame to a table using Snowpark. See if something didn't like about that. I'll look at that later. But we can run the Cortex system to get the data because the table's there. I can just run the select statement to cortex.out. And I can just take that and view that in the markdown here. So basically, this is the output of Cortex. Let's see. See if I can. Oh. There we go. It does actually generate it in markup, which is nice. So I can just see what it did in a very nicely formatted way. And, and it's just telling me kind of at a very high level what it's done. It's a 30-day forecast. So your prompt needs to be right. Otherwise, it will give you the wrong results. And why don't we run that again? And use the 30-day forecast that we are actually running. So Cortex is going to give us the results there. We're going to select the values out. And I'll just dump that into, well, I don't know why it's not. And then I will be checking that off and seeing that this is the 30-day forecast that we're doing. And so, I mean, it's a toy problem. Yeah, I know, but there's a lot here. People are now really exploring how we can use our enterprise data and use machine learning and use LLMs all together to build these RAG applications. And I think Snowflake is a great platform for doing that in. And you can see just really a few minutes, I was able to do a fair amount of exploration of how these things interact and how I can build sophisticated agents using the data. Thank you for your time.